Good evening. Today we're going to be learning about brain-based learning in elementary education and how we can use differentiation and engagement strategies through brain-based learning and what that would look like in a learning environment, whether that be in a school, a classroom, or any other educational programs. So, what is brain-based learning? In simple terms, it's the scientific approach of how the brain learns naturally and how we can use that knowledge to enhance students' learning outcomes. We can use it in our classrooms, constructing new curriculums, or even in our own daily, day-to-day teaching methods. What is differentiation and how it relates to brain-based learning? Well, differentiation is how we can tailor instructions to best fit the needs of students and their preferred ways of learning. Some students retain information when they actively participating and in their learning, and other students can learn simply by listening and watching. It's important to know how your students best learn and how you can really cater your teaching strategies to their needs. So, how can we apply brain-based learning to differentiational instruction? Some things to consider are the natural ways the brain learns and how we can incorporate those findings to our students. Some things to really think about are like your students' interests, your classroom environment, how your lessons are being structured, and the type of activities you prepare for your class. Um, so let's talk about how we can differentiate brain-based learning into our classrooms and how that can help elevate student engagement and memory. Some strategies that teachers can use are dual encoding, sensory stations, like chunking information, mnemonics, storytelling, things that trigger, our long-term, short-term type of memories. Today, we're going to really just be focusing on two strategies related to brain-based learning in our classrooms. The first one is dual coding, where we can combine, verbal instruction and visual aids together. This is one of the more common practices teachers use to deliver instruction. Students retain information using different types of sensory memories, for example, visual memory and auditory memory. The second strategy we're going to be using is chunking information. Um, and basically, chunking is the ability to trick the brain temporarily into holding more memory in our short-term memory by taking information and organizing it into smaller bite-sized pieces. That way, this helps the brain encode information into long-term memory a little bit easier. Think about, the days before we used cell phones, and we had to memorize phone numbers. Usually we remember them by breaking them into pieces, or, remembering combination locks, things of that nature. Now let's talk about active management, how it relates to brain-based learning. Active management refers to learners who are more fully invested in the learning experience by participating in their learning. In simple terms, students learn better when they are not just sitting and watching. Um, we're we're going to talk about how active engagement strategies we can use to support students' learning. Some examples that I have here are, using movements, quick pop quizzes, multimedia is a really good one, and turn and talks is something I use quite often too. Um, so the two that we're going to talk about today are turn and talk and using movements. Um, Turn and talk is essentially a quick way to get your class involved in their learning by having them discuss a concept or an idea with a partner. There, it's a very quick conversations about things they read or discuss in class. It provides students with opportunities to take charge in their own learning, um, and to learn from each other as well. The last strategy we're going to be talking about today is going to be active engagement through movement. Using visual cues. Using nonverbal cues can help guide students' attention. Hand gestures or forms of like visual cues can assist students with like absorbing and recalling information by associating cues with like desired actions. Sometimes you may see teachers use their fingers to tap out the sounds and words, or maybe put a finger over their mouth, to like to being quiet, and students kind of imitate it. The brain likes to learn through different associations. So that's another strategy that we can use as well. Um, thank you for listening and hope you have a great day. Bye. Let me stop recording here.